Well, good evening. I'm at the Brown Township Hall, Rough and Tumble, and they got a couple guard dogs back here. I bet neither one of those dogs know the meaning of sick 'em. That is one big dog.
Same full barbecue behind us. That ought to put a smile on your face if nothing else does. Thanks for showing up tonight. The Spirit of the Woods Music Association. We've got some good entertainment and some excellent, fine-looking dogs, too.
Yeah.
Those are door prizes. All right. This is our last concert for our winter series, right? We've got another concert coming up in June in case you're new to the area. I've been living in the woods too long. In the third Saturday in June is our festival. And this year is our 40th year. 40 years. 40 years. Oh, it's great. I'm going to tell you who's playing at our concert here. We've got the Chanel sisters, Sally Rogers and Claudia Smith. Woo! There. Joel Mabus and Ray Cameron. Cameron.
Yeah, these are all really good artists.
Thank you. It ain't over yet.
It ain't over yet. Decal, Nick Garris, and Jesse Nieves.
Got it.
You remember Nick, don't you?
Dancer.
Nope.
Any of you people been to a concert before? Well, that's what you're supposed to recognize all these. Some of these guys were playing in the first 10 years that we had these concerts. The Palooka Brothers, yeah, they're in their 80s.
Not quite.
If they know you need to remember them far back, they're lying.
There's nothing wrong with being in your 80s. The fact that if you're still in the band when you're 80, you're something special. And I never pronounced this right. Yuda and the Haiduks. That's Armenian. That means damn good musician. But that's in June. Tonight, you've got some couple of young people here that played in our festival last summer, and they were very well received. Musicians. Yeah. I don't even know where they're from. But they're good thinkers because they're not worried about where they're from, they're worried about where they're going. This is Rough and Tumble, folks. Please welcome them.
All right. Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear us okay?
Yeah.
We're a little bit of a nervous band when we get started. This is, we've never been voted on in the town hall before. So, lots at stake here. We're going to start you off with a couple songs from a soundtrack that we wrote a couple years ago called Pieces and Pieces. It's a film, a short film that's going to be released by our friend Alyssa Pearson. It's all about post-traumatic stress disorder among women exiting the military. We like to start off our shows very light, and then kind of bring you down from there. So we're gonna start there, and then well, we'll see how many are left. the silos. Wheat fields that stretch on my own. And I was a woman of sorrow. What's left can follow to my gone home, Ohio. Nothing is lost when it is found again. Everything's found where it was lost. Standing now better now. Peace in these places. Pieces and pieces, every broken bone. Piece me by piece then. So we're the Rough and Tumble. We get asked a lot who's rough and who's tumble, and it varies from night to night. Let's just see how you all behave. So it's the two of us, and these two monsters back here, and we live in a 16-foot camper, full time. This will be our 3rd year living in a camper with, well, it used to just be butter. That's this old one over here, and then felt like life was getting a little too easy, and so we added another 85-pounder at the end of last year.
She's a puppy. Her name's Pud.
But there's this thing that, oh sorry, did you want to say something else?
I was just going to say, which is short for mud pup.
Oh, it's short for mud pup, yeah, okay. And so when you live in a small camper, this incredible thing happens where people always want to give you things. And I'm not really sure because nobody ever wanted to give us anything before when we had a house, but now that we have a camper, they want to give us stuff, and they always preface it with, oh, it's small. And that's how we got Pud. But seriously, we were in North Carolina. We were in North Carolina in the last, or Yeah, end of last year. And this woman came up to me and she said, hey, I have something I need to give you. And I said, okay. And she said, it's small. And I said, okay. And she said, it's this shaker, and there's only 6 of them that have been made by this local gentleman here in Morganton, and it sounds really cool, and I really would like you to have it. And I said, that is so nice, thank you, are you sure? And she said, oh yeah, absolutely. And I just ask that you use it in your shows. Just take it with you, use it in your shows. And I said, thank you so much. And she said, yeah, there's baby teeth in there. And I said, thank you. But then a week and a half later, we were up in Cleveland, Ohio, and I started using it, and we had a gentleman in the audience who was a dentist, and I asked him for his professional opinion. I said, tell me, do you think this sounds like baby teeth? And he said, oh yeah, that's baby teeth. So I only use it once in the show, because the whole rest of the time, now that I told you, all you hear is baby teeth, baby teeth, baby teeth. I just gotta put it away, but I used it.
Alright, well thank y'all for being here. This next song is about this time that I used to work as a front desk clerk at a Motel 6 in Asheville, North Carolina. Thank you very much. And this guy wandered in and told me all about his plans to build a time machine.
It's alright. What's another 9 to 5? What's another hour undoing this knot I tied? Oh, so unraveled, should I come over tonight?
Sound out there? Need more of anything? Are we too loud? Too soft?
We don't want folk music to overwhelm anyone. So.
Well, that isn't entirely true. We want folk music to overwhelm everyone, but certain people in particular. But you folks here tonight, we don't want it to be too overwhelming. That's what we're trying to say. Shepard. It's his first concert here this evening.
There was your symbol moment. Shepard and his family here are the reason that we come showered tonight, so you might want to thank them later. Southern infestations. In case you couldn't tell from our rich, illustrious accents, we're not actually from the South, even though we have Tennessee plates. And when we moved to the South, our friends had a lot of ideas as to what we'd be writing songs about, like broken down trucks and dogs and alcoholism, which wasn't entirely untrue, but we decided instead to go another route and celebrate the South for its infestations. Like cicadas. I know you all get cicadas up here, locusts. You might call them locusts up here, but there's nothing like southern cicadas. They're called the Great Southern Brood, and they come through every 19 years and dive bomb you, and then they burrow into the ground, mutate and wait for your offspring to be born so they can dive bomb them too. It's a regular horror movie down there. If you ever get a chance to visit, we highly recommend it. Other favorite infestations include kudzu, which is a plant that's just eating all the other plants. And sad country singers, which are just wandering the streets until they migrate north to Michigan in March. This song is called Cicada. I kissed you like a zoo. Beat the scream of the cicadas. They were calling out love, they were calling out love, and maybe we were too. We'd stay here in silence till the moment they left you. Let the leaving keep his days, let the leaving keep his days until the setting of the moon. 'Cause you are not my mother's thought of love. No, 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 but you are all I want and all I've got.
Which I think we told you we live in a 16-foot camper with these two big dogs. So that's about all the introduction I think I'm going to give to this song. It's actually just kind of about the little things that you carry around with you as you move around through life.
I thought that was all
said it, and then I thought, maybe I should give a little bit more.
Do you want to do more still?
No, I think that's it. Do you have anything to add?
No, I'm good.
Well, this song is called Bad. Well, I got a bone to pick with you back when we were younger. It's 4 in the morning, you're getting home late from the weekend at your brother's. We've been fighting about little things, words can get out stronger. So what's the matter with keeping on back in the middle of the bed tonight? What's the matter with keeping on back in the middle of the bed tonight? Oh, babe, round the road down to you, throw you out the door without you. Got a little W in all of the covers. She's big and truly and a little bit stinky, but I guess it doesn't really matter. We've been fighting about little things. She crawled to her mother, said, what's the matter with keeping little doggies in the middle of the bed tonight? What's the matter with keeping little doggies in the middle of the bed tonight? Oh, babe, the round road's down to you. Throw you out the door without you now. Drinking all night till it gets real early. Not the headaches, and I think it's the memories finally get me. We can take any little thing and turn to a fight. Oh, what's the matter with keeping little bottles in the middle of the bed tonight? What's the matter with keeping little girls in the middle of the bed tonight? Hey, what's the matter with keeping on back in the middle of the bed tonight? Well, we've come to a really fun part of the set. This is, a few years ago we,
Now it's time for the fun part. Sorry you've had to hang out with us up to this point. Now it's fun.
Thank you, Mallory. This is Mallory Graham, everybody.
I'm really straight now.
Yeah, obviously. A few years ago, back in 2013. You can all remember back in 2013 what it was like. We came across this statistic that read that every year in America, ladies and gentlemen, in your very own backyards, there are tens, if not 15s, of holidays that go uncelebrated.
Wow.
Whoa is right, and that's exactly what we said back in 2013 when we came across this statistic. That was very important for us to recognize, and we decided that being a teeny tiny traveling folk band, we would do something about it. And so we started the Rough and Tumble's Holiday Awareness Campaign, which is a project in which we took 24 underappreciated holidays and wrote songs for them.
That was back when folk singers had less to choose from.
Wasn't a lot of work out there. So we wrote this album full of holidays, most of them underappreciated, and we called it the Rough and Tumble's Holiday Awareness Campaign. And you can find it back there at the merchandise table. All proceeds do go to benefit holiday equality. Just so you know. We actually came up with a slogan for our campaign, which goes over in certain areas of the country better than others. Can I share it with you? Like no judgment? Make America celebrate again. Okay? over, but I think the places it doesn't go over well, I think they might think I'm saying "Make America Celibate" again, which is a totally different campaign.
We'll get to that one later.
Yeah, anyway, this song is called "The 5th of July."
Alright, I got this one. Let's do it.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Who's gonna clean this up? Through the wicks of Roman candles, who's gonna take this song? Through this whispered short rectangles. It's hot, you're gone, and I can't call your number, and there is no further back. I'm only as a watermelon rind on the 5th of July. Got no caring left to dine on. Neon covers waves, falling off to pieces in summer strangles. It's hot, you're gone, and I can't call your number, and there is no further back. I'm only as a watermelon rind on the 5th of July. On the 5th of July.
All the time.
It's hot, you're gone, and I can't call your number, and there is no further back. I'm only as a watermelon rind on the 5th of July. On the 5th of July.
This song is called, well, it's for International Be Late for Something Day, which is a real good holiday to have in your back pocket.
Especially when you're crossing time zones a lot.
The song is called Always Late and Never.
Spaces between us are as big as all those things we haven't said. So step back, darling, 'cause you don't know what could fall out of this big level. Well, little finger, gonna linger. Far too long here now, here comes another ringer. I tell you, I love you. If it wasn't true, but baby, I do. My brain knows what to do. For all I got to do, to keep the bubble. The light beating for you, from you.
That's Mallory Random on the mountain. First chair, mouth trumpet.
First chair, that's so sweet.
These love songs, says my mama, are the best in therapy I ever had. But baby, darling, how else do I say I got it there? My brain knows what to do. For all that I got to do, to keep the bubble.
is also from the Holiday Awareness Campaign. I'd just like to take this moment to remind you that these are all real holidays that we found on the internet. This next song was written for A Day for the Remembrance of the Souls of Lost Whales, which is a real holiday that we found on the internet.
It's not fake. It's not fake.
It is not a fake holiday. As far as we can tell, it's an Inuit holiday. It takes place after the whaling season is over in Alaska. And it's kind of a day of Thanksgiving and of, just blessing the house and giving thanks to this animal for giving its life to provide meals for, well, kind of to provide everything for this family. And while we are anti-whaling, on account of being folk singers, we think...
It's like the first thing you sign up for when you're a folk singer. It will be anti-whaling.
We think being grateful for what you have is a really good thing.
We actually have two sources. I know we said that we found this on the internet, and some people might not trust the internet as much as we do. But we actually also met a woman in Wichita, Kansas, who said that she lived in Alaska and told us that while she lived there, where this holiday is celebrated, she thought that she remembered hearing about it one time. So that's actually two sources. That's enough to write a research paper.
So this song's called A Day for the Remembrance of the Souls of Lost Whales. As I said, it was written for A Day for the Remembrance of the Souls of Lost Whales.
What's it called again?
It goes like this.
sky for half of the price, and now just to carry her in. I was a bird for your cage. You were the old miner's hand. There in the dark, no lantern, no age, I waltzed down to the old mining shaft. Ever breathing, caught a bird who can sing with no wing on her. One for two hands, hold what you can, and the cold dust will keep her running. I was a bird in the cage. You were the man in the mask. And there in the dark, no lantern your age, I would sing down the old mining shaft. Ever breathing, breathing ain't much to a bird who can't see. I am a bird in a cage. You are the earth's leaking gas. And here in the dark, no lantern my age, I will fall down the old mining shaft.
And then I hear that you all brought a lot of treats, and so
We're gonna let you eat them.
in here. This next song is off of our Pieces and Pieces soundtrack. It's called Dog in This Fight.
There's a lot of shouting here tonight. There's a lot of people crowding my left and right. It's not for mommy and it's not my pride. I just know I got a dog in this fight. All I know's I got a dog in this fight. Who's gonna upset tonight? Who's gonna upset tonight? Who's gonna throw down that song? No win fight. Who's gonna upset tonight? My girl can be fierce and be mean. My girl's no muscle and she is she like the on, Shepherd. We're almost done. July heat has got us cold, as if you don't want my love at all. Golden house is good as sold, if you don't want my love at all. Spit my pleas into your love, and I'll cradle tiny bluebird songs. 7 years of southern brown, if you don't want my love at all. Head out west to lead your tide, I'll be a steady eastern sky. If you don't find what you're looking for, you don't need my love no more. You don't want my love at all. Tiny street will do us in. You don't want my love again. I'll wash up and treat you right. You will have me in tonight. Don't you want my love? Don't you want my love? Don't you want my love? Don't you? And west to lead your tide, I'll be a steady eastern sky. You don't find what you're looking for. You don't need my love no more. And west to lead your tide, I'll be a steady eastern sky. You don't find what you're looking for. You don't need my love no more. Don't you want my love? Don't you want my love? Don't you want my love? Don't you want my love?
All right, thank you very much. We're the Rough and Tumble. It's our pleasure. Let's give a round of applause to Wanda and to Tim and to the rest of the crew for the
Last year when we played the Spirit of the Wood Festival, Scott's parents were out visiting us, and it actually reassured them quite a bit that we were surrounded by such nice people out there on the road. So when we told them again that we were playing for nice people, they said, just stay there. Don't go anywhere else.
But we feel, well, you know, I mean, we might now that it's April. We feel really thankful that we get to do what we do, traveling around playing shows for, you know, nice people like you. We have some CDs in the back, we have some T-shirts that we would love to sell them.
Yeah, the T-shirts have Butter's face on it, so if you really hated what you heard, but you do like dogs, there is something for you back there. If you want one with Butter and Todd, just buy two T-shirts because they pretty much look the same. We also have a mailing list back there. It's in a text book. If you want to figure out where we are in the world, we'll probably send you an email a couple times a year, and we won't sell your email address to someone.
That's the truth.
Is that reassuring? We also have some postcards back there, and they're completely free. And if you want to take a postcard and fill out a friend or enemies or family members, which are often the same thing, address, we will put it back in the mailbox back there, and we will pay for your postage. It's part of the Rough and Tumble Save the U.S. Postal Service campaign.
Oh.
Thank you. Well, we've been traveling round and round from the great northeast of Nashville down to Florida. We don't travel now through the winter and the snow. Scrape a little money together for the redneck bar, put all the wine on the credit card.
Did you make enough?
We can fill the car with unleaded gasoline. If you've had enough, or ain't near enough, sick and tired of that old man looking down on us, come together, 'cause we think we've got a plan. Save a teeny tiny traveling folk band. Yes, it can. Save a songwriter, the snake charmer, iconoclast, the local farmer. Save a little for your sons and your daughters before it's all gone. God bless the ones who feel too much, talk too loud, who had enough to break what stands between all of us. Boy, the life and truth. If you've had enough, or ain't near enough, sick and tired of that old man looking down on us, come together, 'cause we think we've got a plan. Save a teeny tiny traveling folk band. And it's hard.
And it's hard.
Yes, it's hard. Making the money in this dang town. And it's hard.
And it's hard.
Yes, it's hard. Making the money in this dang town. When you're only a folk singer, songwriter, a bartender, a freelance Uber driver, a waiter in a weapons house. Rough bakers and dealers and backdoor bartenders, commonly referred to as cake starters. Have all your friends finally acknowledge you.
That's it.
You've had enough, or ain't near enough, sick and tired of that old man looking down on us. Come together, the rough and tumble's got a plan. Come together, fill the full heart Uncle Sam. Come together, there's no wish like this land. Save a teeny, tiny, traveling folk band. Yes, it can.
That's a double track.
Well, we've taken a break and we're back.
Are you ready?
And
We're ready. You guys are ready?
go.
We're ready.
You gotta wind us up fast. You gotta.
There's a silver maple grown in our yard. Set still, there's no to show or say glow. City star, our nation's over. Look at where we are. There's a silver maple grown in our yard.
We're not too young to love a pretty song. We're not too old to sell our souls to rock and roll. I'll sing this one over. Do where we come. We're not too young to
the pretty song. If you must get lost, should it be far from home? Sing a familiar song. You and your brown eyes, you and your brown eyes. Light lights pushing on our screen door. No June bug waits for summer is coming anymore. Last summer we had nothing but a bottle and your porch. Light lights pushing on your screen door. If you must get lost, should it be far from home? Sing a familiar song. You and your brown eyes, you and your brown eyes. Sleep in the night with dead and gone. The wolves still barking and howling out there. So you're darling, tell me I'm the one. The dead are gone, but they won't be gone long. And if you must get lost, should it be far from home? Sing a familiar song. Sing a familiar song. You and your brown eyes, you and your brown eyes, you and your brown eyes. Lord have mercy, my poor soul. What you gonna do, baby? Oh, I miss my bride, baby. Oh, oh, oh. Lord have mercy on my poor soul. What you gonna do with the baby? Oh, I miss my bride, baby. Oh, oh, oh. That was an traditional tune called the Big Skiote.
I would like to take this time to note that this brown bottle is water. Sometimes when we cross state lines with a Tennessee plate, people might suspect other things, but it is in fact water. I will let you try it after the show if you really don't believe me. At your own risk.
Mama's mess. Alright, this song's called Liquor Man.
Speaking of, that's not helping our reputation.
Don't you worry, take your time, I've made up my mind a million times. Don't you know that it's time to slow down and see the liquor man? Get yourself fit something, get yourself fit drunk. That's when you can calm down.
Don't you make me change my mind if you can't get me back from borrowed time. Hold one hand, it's time to go down and see liquor man. Give myself a feel for something, get myself good and drunk. That's when I can come back.
Liquor man, oh no! how we pass the time. Your legs intertwined in mine. Love, come trouble me tonight. The kitchen and the Christmas lights, Italian captions pass us by. Love, come trouble me tonight. Sing your sad song. Don't be long to follow me. Take your boots off, leave a light on. Love, don't tell us who is right. Just come trouble me tonight. Sad song, don't be long for me. Take your boots off, we can leave a light on. Love, don't tell us who's right. Just come trouble me tonight. Desert dreams, they leave you white. Don't take its water in the night. Just come trouble me tonight.
See, it's only ever us. Basically every day, all day, waking, sleeping. We don't do anything more than 3 feet apart. Which makes us really socially awkward most of the time. Also makes us a little codependent, so we gotta keep checking in. How you doing? You almost done? Yeah. Yeah. Alright. I am too. Here's this, have you ever been to Viroqua, Wisconsin? You've been to Viroqua, Wisconsin? Okay, alright. See, we ask this all over the country, and the only place anyone has ever said yes is in Viroqua, Wisconsin. And even they were a little unsure. We found ourselves in Viroqua a couple of years ago. Oh, sure. Maybe you need scotch, just ask. Thanks, man. And so we were on our way, so we were in Minneapolis, and we were heading back down to Nashville by way of Chicago, and so we were going through Wisconsin, so we asked our friends in Minneapolis, what is there to do in Wisconsin, because we have a couple days to kill there, and they said, nothing. So then when went over to St. Paul, and they're our nicer friends, and we asked them, you know, like, hey, seriously, we're going through Wisconsin, and we want to know what there is to do. And they said, oh, you definitely need to stop in Viroqua, Wisconsin. And we're like, okay, what is there to do in Viroqua, Wisconsin? And they said, well, there's this fantastic grocery store there, and you need to go there and stock up because the rest of the state is a wasteland. So we did, actually. So we went across from Minnesota to Wisconsin, and then we got a late start, and Viroqua isn't that far over the border. And so we did. We actually stopped at that grocery store, and we stocked up on kale and quinoa and whatever vegetarians stock up on. And then we realized that it was getting too dark to go any further. I mean, we have headlights, but we're looking for a reason to stop, really. And so we pulled into Viroqua's Walmart parking lot. Walmarts are the place that we spend a lot of our time these days. And we pulled in and we parked, and after getting all that delicious food, we promptly ran into Walmart and bought a 6-pack of Klondike bars. The mint chocolate chip kind, to be exact. We, as a teeny tiny traveling folk band, believe that the mint chocolate chip ones are the most superior of all the Klondike bars. We will be taking your vote later, which we will throw in the trash because it's mint chocolate chip all the way. So anyway, we sat down and we pulled out our lawn chairs and we sat in the parking lot and got our instruments out, and then we actually got to watch the sunset behind the Tractor Supply store across the street. It was very romantic, I'd say.
It's like quintessential Americana right there.
Yeah, it's really great. So we're moving on to our second Klondike bar of the night whenever a white Cadillac pulled into the parking lot and started going pretty fast right toward us, and got about halfway toward us, and we thought maybe we should move. We don't get a lot of excitement, just the two of us. We waited a little bit longer, and then he kept coming, and then right at the point where I was starting to feel like maybe we were going to die, he veered off to the right and then pulled in front of us, and then he put his car into park, and he shut it off, and he leaned back his seat, and he fell asleep. And of course, we weren't going to judge because we were actually sleeping just 2 spaces away that night in the same parking lot. And so we finished watching the sunset, and then we noticed that this guy had left all of his lights on. And so being good little folk singers, we went over to try and tell this man that he had left his lights on. And his window was cracked just a little bit, so we knocked on it, and he didn't wake up. And then we kind of leaned in a little further, and it kind of just smelled like he needed to sleep longer. So we got back, and we tried to figure out what to do. And Scott suggested that we just be ready. That's another thing you learn as a folk singer, is to always be ready for anything. And so we detached the truck from the camper, and we got out our jumper cables, and then we sat and ate our third Klondike bar of the night, and just watched this guy sleep. So there we were, and it was about a good 45 minutes later, and the gentleman wakes up. It'd be a different story if he didn't. And he goes to try and turn on his car, and it does not start. So then he kind of shuffles around a little bit, and he tries again, and it does not start. So he gets out of his car, and he looks around the parking lot, and he makes eye contact with us because we were still staring at him. Then he says, hello, and we say hello, and he says, nice night, and we say, it sure is. And he says, you know, my car won't start. And we say, really? That's crazy. And he said, yeah. Seems like I'm gonna need a jump. And I said, that's crazy because we have these jumper cables right here. So we pulled around the truck and we got everything set up, and Scott is just about to turn our engine, and the guy goes running towards Scott, and he says, stop, wait, I can't do this, I can't do this. And we say, okay, and he said, well, you see, this is a Cadillac. And I said, yeah. this is a great truck, because I just thought we were naming things. And he said, no, you don't understand. Like, a Cadillac can only be jumped by another Cadillac. You know when somebody says something so confidently that you just think, maybe that is true. We checked the internet later. It's not true. And so we kind of just, we unhooked everything. We said, well, best of luck to you, I guess. And he said, yeah, I guess so. And so we went back and we deliberated going in to get another six-pack to the cars. And we watched the guy kind of walk around the parking lot, got himself a Coca-Cola, came over to us, and he says, hello. And we said, hello. And he said, nice night. And we said, yes, still is. And he said, you know, I have a friend in the next town. And I said, oh yeah, that's crazy. And he said, yeah, he's got a Cadillac. And I said, seems to be a lot of that going on around here. He said, yeah. And he says, now, I would like to ask my buddy to come and help me, but you see, you're in Viroqua. And I said, yes. And he said, well, Viroqua is 6 miles from the next town. And I said, all right, that sounds right. And he said, but the way they built the road system, it's actually 7 miles to get back again. And I feel like it's one thing to ask a buddy to go 12 miles in a night, and it's another thing to ask him to go 13. And you know when somebody says something so confidently? I said, yeah, that makes sense. We gotta go. So we got back into our camper and started writing this song. It's called Viroqua, Wisconsin. 20 miles from Madison, I left all lights in my Cadillac. Now I'm 40 miles from residence. I'll call home. What you gonna do with me, my love? I got horses and an aces, but there's no criminal now that I can trust. But my love, 6 miles out of town, 7 to go back home. 6 miles to 7, it's on the same road. Took a day out of Swallows night, yeah, thunder burning, it's all just right. I couldn't go along and catch the ride to get me home. I'm making this parking lot, pouring down everything I got, and I gotta get out of this Walmart before it's home. 6 miles out of town, 7 to go back home. 6 miles to 7, it's on the same road. Oh, my love is love, is love. Oh, my love is love, is love. What you gonna do with me, my love? I got horses and an aces bust. There's no pretty little nail that I can trust. Like my love, my love, my love. 6 miles out of town, 7 to go back. 6 miles to 7, so the same. instruments are either really like this accordion is Scott's grandmother's. Whenever she was learning to play accordion as a youngster, and from the Dust Bowl, which means there's a few screws loose, which is fitting.
Actually, they're just nails sticking out of the back of it.
Yes. It was a harder time back then, in the Dust Bowl of Oklahoma. Oh, and the other things that we have are just, they're toys. They're basically just toys, and they're also falling apart because we don't put our things away. We don't put our toys away at night. So anyway, I'm getting stuck a lot up here. I guess I'm a little frantic. It's because I'm stuck. Got a couple up there?
This is Mallory's plea at every show.
Please help me, I'm stuck.
We have a couple more songs, and
then we're gonna let you
call it
go.
nights. But once again, we really appreciate you all coming out here tonight and sharing this evening with us. We really appreciate it. This song's called "Take Me With You."
We're the ones who turn the clocks, we keep our windows locked tonight. It's one light on. We wrote all the great love songs on a square kitchen wall, practicing, sing to soothe the soul. What it means to be forgotten, what it means to be alone. Next time you feel like me, take me with you. Next time you feel like me, take me with you. Next time you feel like it, take me with you. Next time you feel like it, take me with you. Next time you feel like it, take me with this last song is it's another holiday song. We wrote it for International Chicken Appreciation Day. It takes place on May 4th of every year. I should say this is not the Chicken Appreciation Holiday that is sponsored by Tyson Foods. Okay? Like a take your chicken out for a walk day.
or tell your chicken what a great job it's doing.
Yeah.
What's that? Are you trying to give me a guinea hen again?
Come on, chicken, driving down Memphis City. Come on, chicken, driving down now. Come on, chicken, driving down Memphis City. Come on, chicken, driving down now. What's this place got burning heavy tonight? I'm building out a band, driving down Memphis City. Heading down to Louisiana, driving down now. Come on, chicken, driving down Memphis City. Come on, chicken, driving down now. That's in this who may be for us. Northern farewell to a spot and driving down Memphis City. Flip a coin from the Carolinas, driving down now. Traveling loans won't pay our rent, can't see back for what I spent. Come on, chicken, driving down Memphis City. Come on, chicken, driving down now. Come on, chicken, driving down Memphis City. Come on, chicken, driving down now. Driving down now. Ooh, driving down now.
Oh, one more.
Oh, you want to bring it down? That's fine.
Maybe we should leave it up to the audience. Would you like upper or a downer?
Yeah, that's really not fair, actually. So an upper then. I felt like you were going to lose that one.
Some say up downer.
Oh, you didn't even know what I was doing.
I had no idea.
Are you okay with this? Alright, we're going to play one more song. This is my banjolele, by the way. It's half banjo, half ukulele. It is, well, it is what it is. Scott likes to say that it's a genetically modified instrument, a GMI, you might say. He also calls it an abomination unto the Lord.
That's what they call it in Kansas. In Canada. We'll pick somewhere.
This song about this husband. Don't you call me on my birthday. You know I was stuck around if there was more to say. But I can hear you railing from 6 months away. Don't tell me I got me away. Everyone just tell us what dress to find me, my dear. Even the person and Halloween got an agreement. Get back on the bus, get back on the bus, get back on the bus, get back on the bus away. Everybody sing about you, baby. Won't you stay put on my foot? Don't you slow down when you're driving my way. Don't you have a car shop, rush those out around the place. Get back on the bus, get back on the bus, get back on the bus, get back on the bus away. Everybody singing about you, baby. Think it's leaving time to settle in, 'cause sometimes all those things you leave behind don't think of what you leave behind away. But you see them blow you away. Don't you think it's leaving time to settle in, 'cause sometimes all those things you leave behind don't think of what you leave behind away. But you see them blow you away. You think it's leaving time to settle in, 'cause sometimes all those things you leave behind don't think of what you leave behind away. Everybody singing about you, get back on the bus, get back on the bus, get back on the bus, get back on the bus away. Everybody singing about you, away. That funny city gonna call you away.
Thank you for joining me at the Brown Township Hall. We thank Kim and Wanda Joseph for making it possible for me to come tonight. Bubby's tail just kind of lays there, and Honeycat swooshes all the time.
No, it doesn't. Only when you're over there bothering her.
I waited a little while. It's 10 o'clock. Honeycat has moved a little bit. Oh, she's moving now. She doesn't like it when I talk. But she's not moving her tail. Oh.
Yeah, right.
Now we have Black Cat, aka Bubby, aka Lazy Cat, aka I don't care what you call me, is napping, trying to nap. I just woke him up, but that won't last long. No shadow. Well, I guess we know what that means. 6 more weeks of winter, but it's only February 2nd, so that's March 15 we'll be done. But then again, cats are not a very good predictor of weather.
This is a good thing. But we're not checking your ears today. Today we're talking about eyes.
Hi.
Can you all see me?
Yeah.
How many fingers am I holding up? Oh, you're all... Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Ah, everybody can hear. This is a good thing. But we're not checking your ears today. Today we're talking about eyes.
Hi.
Can you all see me?
Yeah.
How many fingers am I holding up? Oh, you're all in good shape. Bye. I'll see you later here. Okay.
Oh, that was a joke. Is that a doctor joke?
Well, it is kind of a doctor joke, but I want to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Steve Gould.
Oh, good.
I work out at Reamer Eye Center, which is here in town, right across from the hospital. Any of you patients there?
No,
All right. Many of you are. It is Dr. Reamer merged a practice. About 10.5 years ago, Dr. Wilberg was an ophthalmologist who was in practice here in Manistee, and he had been here for about 20-some years. Dr. Reamer merged practices. Dr. Reamer has been in Ludington, and he came up here and opened a new office, built a new building, and I joined the practice along with Dr. Wilberg back in 2006. So we've been there a little over 10 years. The practice is getting bigger and growing. We now have an office over in Cadillac. How many of you have been over to Cadillac? We have a big office there. If you think our office here is big, they have an even bigger one over there. And there they have 3 full-time doctors. Here in Manistee, I am here 4 days a week. Dr. Reamer comes 1 day a week. And Dr. Wu is in Manistee 3 days a week. And that's our staffing here at this point in time. Dr. Wu and Dr. Reamer both work in the Ludington office and in Manistee. Dr. Wu does general practice, cataract surgery, treating glaucoma, treating macular degeneration, but she is fellowship trained in eyelids and facial cosmetic surgery and treating and removing and dealing with skin cancers around the face. So we have that as one option. Dr. Reamer is pretty much straight into the cataract surgery, but he also does glaucoma, treats macular degeneration. And so we're going to talk about several things today. The main topic today is the aging eye. Anybody? Have any of you had cataract surgery?
Yeah.
All right, quite a few of you. That is probably the most common thing that goes on. What is a cataract? And let's go to talking about the anatomy of the eye. And I apologize, we were supposed to have pictures up here, but that something didn't quite click there, so we don't have the pictures. But what is a cataract? The natural human eye, just behind the colored part, there's a lens. Now that lens is made out of protein. How many of you remember waxing a floor 40 or 50 years ago? What happened to that wax? It yellowed. Yeah, it turns yellow. It got dark. And then your floor didn't look so good, so you'd strip it off and lay down another layer of wax. The natural lens in your eye, because it's protein, ages, and as it ages, it turns yellow. And that's one type of a cataract. We call that a nuclear sclerotic lens. The lens is hardening and turning yellow. And it'd be just like when you walk around and you have sunglasses on. Do you feel like you see as good as you do when you don't have the sunglasses on? No. You need that full amount of light getting in.
And so a nuclear sclerotic cataract darkens things. A second type of cataract is called a cortical cataract. And how many of you remember seeing a frosted window and there's moisture and you see the little finger spikes of the frost coming across? That's like a cortical cataract. You get this stuff that's in front of you and you can't see through it, or it glares and gives you all kinds of problems. Those of you that did have cataract surgery, do you remember driving and how glare from headlights got to where it really bothered you? That's because of the cataract. That's the #1 complaint. That and just blurred vision that go with cataracts developing. Some types of cataracts take years to slowly grow. Other types, like the cortical, and then there's a posterior subcapsular type of cataract, they can literally change in 6 to 9 months and go from you're seeing good to, boy, I'm really having trouble. And usually you can get along okay in the daytime environment, but it's the driving, especially when it's dark and headlights are on, that really bother you. So if you're noticing things like that, get your eyes checked and see if you do have one of those types of cataracts. Most people get a combination. It's not just the aging nuclear, it's most of the time nuclear and cortical combined. So cataract surgery goes in, they make a tiny little cut on the cornea, which is the clear part right over the top of your colored part of your eye. It's only 2 millimeters in size. It's a tiny little cut. They reach in, they cut a hole in the front of your lens and take out and scoop out all the cloudy stuff. And guess what? They slip a brand new clear one right back in its place. And it is simple. The whole surgery takes about 10 to 15 minutes. You go back home the same day because it's done as an outpatient. You wear a patch for 6 hours, but you take that patch off and guess what? Whoa, I can see. I have to clean my house. I can see dust and dirt that I didn't see before. So it is immediately going to be much clearer and better. And usually they'll do the second eye a week or 2 later, depending on the surgery schedule. But you are going to be amazed if you have developed cataracts, because it's such a slow process. It's like watching your kids grow up, or your grandkids. If you see them every day, you don't realize how they've grown. But if you're like me, and my grandkids are back in Iowa, and I see them once every 4 or 5, 6 months, every time I see them, I go, my gosh, you've grown another 2 or 3 inches. Well, the cataract is the same way. You don't realize how bad it's getting because it's such a slow, gradual change. You're used to it every day. But for an eye doctor that sees you once a year, we're going to look at you and go, oh my gosh, it's time for cataract surgery. And you may be going, really? Is it really time? And we'll be honest with you. There are certain criteria that we use as to when it's time for cataract surgery. The most common one is your driver's license. Have any of you ever had trouble seeing when they have you look in that machine and you have to read those lines of letters? Any of you ever look at that and go, man, that's getting more and more difficult to see? If you are at risk for losing your driver's license, it's time for cataract surgery. And when you come in for your once-a-year eye exams, that's always checked. And we will talk to you if you're at that stage. One of the things that I'll talk about too is going to be macular degeneration. Not as common as cataracts, but anybody in here have macular degeneration? Okay, not as many. Again, what do you do about macular degeneration? And that's always the first question. But let's talk briefly about what is macular degeneration. On the inside of the eye, in the back of the eye, the retina, that's where the macula is. The macula is the one part of your retina that is the most sensitive to vision. So when you're looking at something, you're pointing that macula at what you're looking at, and the light hits it and you see well. Macular degeneration means that that is breaking down. Nutritionally, it's not doing well. I was joking earlier, I was talking to the lady here about the cookies and the candies and the things that we all like to eat. But when you have macular degeneration, it is a nutritional issue. The macula does not have blood vessels in it, so it doesn't get its nutrients directly from the blood vessels, because every other part of your body is going to have blood vessels coming up to it, dropping off the oxygen and the nutrients, and hauling away the waste products of metabolism. But in the macula, because the vision is so critical, there cannot be a blood vessel running in there, or it would be just like a big line in your vision, and nobody wants that. So God, in His plan of things, has the macula with no blood vessels. It's called avascular. The blood vessels come up close, and there has to be what are called transport mechanisms that carry the oxygen and the nutrients into the center of the macula. And those cells, which are highly active, and they're producing waste products, that waste debris has to be carried away. So when we see someone with macular degeneration, we know that there's a nutritional deficiency, and we start you on vitamins. Harvard Medical School did a 12-year study on which vitamin works the best, because there was a point in time when there was controversy. Nobody knew. Somebody said, eat more carrots. Somebody else said, oh, you need vitamin A. Oh, no, you need vitamin K. It does turn out that there's a combination of things that works the very best. And in this day and age, when we do a routine eye exam and we find that you have early dry macular degeneration, we know that if we start you on a certain vitamin, and it's called Preservision Arids, A-R-E-D-S number 2, if you start on that and take it like you're supposed to, it's going to hold that macular degeneration. It will not worsen. 10 years ago, we could not tell you that. There were many times when if we saw early start to macular degeneration, we knew it's only going to get bad. You're going to go blind. You're going to lose vision. But nowadays, if it's a mild, dry macular degeneration, the vitamins is all you need. But there are different types of macular degeneration, and wet forms of macular degeneration are a different story. And we do treat that at Reamer Eye Center. Have any of you ever had a friend that had to get injections of medicine into their eye for macular degeneration? All right. How many of you remember that liar, liar, stick a needle in your eye thing? How about that? Guess what we're doing nowadays? Yeah, we do have to use a needle. It does get injected into the eye and puts medicine inside. The difference between dry and wet macular degeneration: wet macular degeneration has new blood vessels trying to grow up into the macula because of the deficiency of all the tissue. It's trying to carry oxygen and nutrients in there, so it tries to grow new blood vessels in. It's not a lot different than cracks in your driveway and the weeds come up and grow up. You've all seen that. The medicine that we inject in the eye stops the growth of those blood vessels and makes them shrink down, just like putting weed killer on the cracks of your driveway. The weeds go away. And people that have to get those injections are usually coming in once every 6 weeks, and they have to have yet another injection. But we do testing to see if you come in and you've had 3 of those injections in a row. We do some testing to see, is it held, is it controlled, or do we need more injections? They do not do the injection if there has been no regrowth of those blood vessels. The problem with those new blood vessels that grow in, they're new, they're fragile, and they can break. And if they break and bleed, your eye fills with blood, and you're going to lose your vision. So understand that macular degeneration nowadays is very treatable. First of all, if you are in once a year for your checkups, the vitamins is going to control the dry form. The wet form, which used to mean you were going blind, is also now treatable. So with that, those once a year checkups are so very, very critical. Even when you think you are doing just fine and that you see well, those checkups can catch these things early when it's easy to treat, just like with the cataracts and things like that. Now, we'll also talk about one more thing. Anybody have glaucoma? I knew these two did. I already talked to them. But what do you do for glaucoma? And what is glaucoma? So let's talk about what glaucoma is. And I'm an Iowa farm boy, so I kind of put things in common terms here. Glaucoma is a plumbing problem. The eyeball has a gland inside that will produce and pull the clear fluid out of the bloodstream and pumps it to the inside of your eye. That's how your eyeball stays expanded, just like blowing up the tire on your car with air pressure. Your eyeball has a fluid pressure. Well, that fluid, the pump that produces it, is not pressure sensitive. It's a pump. It's going to keep pumping no matter what at the same rate. There is a drain system in the eye, and that drain can clog up. How many of you have drains at home that have clogged up? We all do, and the eye is no different. Diabetics are much more likely to develop glaucoma. Why? High sugar in their bloodstream, and sugar is a very large, sticky molecule, and it's in that bloodstream, and when the clear fluid is pulled out, it has sugar in it. And that clogs up that drain. Think about a big, sticky clog of something going through a fibrous drain system. It clogs it up. So that's why diabetics are far more likely to develop glaucoma. But how do you treat glaucoma? A couple of different ways. Number one, we have people use eye drops, but there's different categories of those drops. Some of those drops work to slow down the drain, or slow down the production of the fluid, and other parts will actually help to stretch open and clean out that drain so it's working better and draining the fluid better. So you lower the pressure in the eye by drops, and they have those two different mechanisms, and you can treat glaucoma with that. But what happens when it just keeps getting worse and you've used this drop and now you're using 2 drops and now you've done this and that? Now, again, with all the technology today, we have other laser treatments that can go in, and they can adjust the laser so it just burns a skim right across the drain, kind of all the gucky, mucky stuff, that sticky, sugary stuff that is all built up in the drain. If they go along with the laser and apply this laser and burn that away, but don't go deeper than just the surface, you've got a clean drain to start over. So that is called a selective laser trabeculoplasty. And I don't know if any of you have had that done, but that is a great way to clean off that drain and get it open and working again. So very good things can be done nowadays. You've had that? Yeah.
But it didn't work, I think.
Didn't it? Okay. Well, it's one of those things that there's always going to be complications. There can be more than one thing going on. So these treatments usually do work when they're done correctly. But I will just tell you that it's a day and age where they're doing things that we never dreamed about doing. I see a familiar face back here that probably remembers a lot of things that were done in days when, yeah, if you had glaucoma, it was kind of like, sayonara, this is not going to go well. But the drops, the laser treatments, and now they're even developing what's called an eye stent. So if you are a glaucoma patient and you are needing cataract surgery, when they do the cataract surgery, they can put this little stent in. And what that stent is, it's a little piece of metal, but it recreates an open drain that won't clog up. And they're using that now. We've had probably, I don't know, 50 or 60 patients have that, and they can many times either stop some of their drops or get off of them completely. And boy, is that nice, because who likes co-pays on medicine? Anybody? No. So if you can have a surgical procedure done and get off of the cost of those medications, it's a wonderful thing to do. All right. Okay, you got a question?
Do eye vitamins work for glaucoma too?
Very good question. Do eye vitamins work for glaucoma? The answer is no. Yeah, the eye vitamin is only for macular degeneration, but that's a good question because there is confusion about that. And there are vitamin companies that sell vitamins that they claim will make your cataracts go away. There's vitamins that will treat glaucoma. I will tell you, and my wife is very much into the homeopathic, do things the natural way if you possibly can. But there are no vitamins that treat glaucoma. There are no vitamins that make cataracts go away. It is going to be a natural process, and you might be able to slow the process, but you're never going to make them go away with vitamin therapy. Only macular degeneration. Thank you. That's a great question. Any other questions? Yes?
After cataract surgery, it's been like 3 or 4 years, and I still get like a blurriness over my eyes part of the time. Is that?
Okay, her question was, after cataract surgery, she will occasionally get a blurriness that will kind of come across the eye. That can be from several different things. There is, as we get older, a posterior vitreous detachment that will occur. Everybody, if you live long enough, will have that happen in both eyes. What is a posterior vitreous detachment? The vitreous membrane is the liner on the inside of the eye, and it's attached firmly in the front and a little bit firmly in the back. But everywhere else, it's just kind of tatted in place. It's not secure. And as we get older, it starts to come loose. And during cataract surgery, because there is a little bit of tugging and pushing on the eye, that extra little effort will make the posterior or back surface attachment come loose. And then you have this tag of tissue floating on the inside of your eye. And it will come and get in front of your eye, and then it'll go away. And it's only when it's in the beam of light going through your pupil right back to the macula that you see it. If it's down below, off to the left, up above, or to the right, you don't see that little tag of tissue, only when it gets in that beam of light. So that's traditionally what comes and goes as a blurry spot. Any other questions? Yes, Bob.
Yeah, well, I haven't seen it lately, but there's like a spider would go across.
Okay.
Or a piece of thread that would have been cut. I guess that's no big deal. What is that?
He's talking about, again, sometimes seeing a little spidery looking thing. You can have a couple of things. When that vitreous membrane pulls loose, occasionally it will break a blood vessel, and then you'll have this kind of spattering of blood in the eye. That may or may not go away.
I haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah, and it may simply be that posterior vitreous detachment. It can look different.
I think it's like down here or something like that, but it's not like right there.
Yeah. The thing I will tell you, if you ever have a concern about what you're seeing, the little shadowy thing, lines, whatever, you really just need to get in, get your eyes dilated, and have somebody look inside. Because don't worry about things that you don't need to. Who's got enough worry in their life already? Man, we all do. You don't need to worry about things if it isn't necessary. And a good eye exam is going to give you the answer for what you're seeing. And the only time you would need to worry about it is if it was a broken blood vessel or a torn retina. Because those things can be fixed. And it's just one of those things that don't worry about it. Diabetic situations, let's talk about that a little bit. How many people diabetic? Okay, the rest of you that are and you're not holding your hand up, I know you want more cookies, don't you? Yeah, okay. Here's what I'll tell you. Diabetes is probably the #1 cause of blindness in the United States. It didn't used to be that way. What has made that happen?
Sugar, sweets.
Sugar and sweets, thank you.
And also pop.
And pop, yes, exactly. Our American is not what it used to be, is it? How many of us, pull dinner out of a frozen dinner package and pop it in the oven and eat that, and you pull something out of a box and you make it and you eat it? It's all very processed food. When you have processed foods, you're not getting food in its natural whole form, and it does affect your ability to turn it into the energy and the nutrients that your body needs. And many times, highly processed foods are not going to give you the nutrient value that you need. Most of it's been kind of soaked out of it. I mean, anytime you can have food and have it sit on a shelf for a year and it's still okay to eat, do you think it's got the nutrient value in it anymore? It's not fresh, it's not whole food.
I call it plastic food.
Plastic food, yeah, but this is what we eat because #1, it's less expensive and it's easy. And that's our American way. We want things that way. But with diabetes, what happens in diabetes, and this is one of the things, this is probably the thing that we treat the most at Reamer Eye Center. When you're diabetic, what is going on? What is the worry about your vision with diabetes? The eye is the one place in your body you can look in and see the blood vessels in their natural state. You don't have to inject dye. You don't have to do a CT scan. You don't have to do something. We can see the blood vessels in their natural state. With diabetes, the blood vessel wall, and its job is to keep the blood inside but let the nutrients and oxygen and the fluids get out to the tissue and then absorb back into the blood vessel wall the bad waste products. Diabetes with a high sugar level affects the permeability of the blood vessel wall. So now fluid that shouldn't be leaking out starts to leak out. Sometimes blood comes out, and sometimes you start to grow new blood vessels in areas that you're not supposed to, because the blood vessel wall is going, what's going on here? I'm out of balance and I'm springing a leak. So it's very important in the once-a-year checkup for diabetes to come in and let us look inside your eye. Because we can see the fluid leaking, we can see the blood leaking, we can see new blood vessel growth. And guess what? That's all treatable. That doesn't have to go into blindness. So if you are diabetic, number one, get your once-a-year checkup. Number two, if you get told that you have diabetic retinopathy, and you Google it and it talks about going blind, don't worry. Again, don't worry about things you don't need to worry about.